Well, good Saturday afternoon, everybody, and welcome to MGM Northfield Park. Michael Carter alongside of Bob the Railbird Roberts.
Michael?
Bob, I'll tell you what, Kentucky Derby Day, Mage springing, I guess if you call it an upset, a $15 winner. But Mage, the only horse with from the Kentucky Derby entering in the Preakness Stakes. And
Yeah.
everybody, there's a lot of people's opinions I respect, a lot of people's opinions that I like, and who knows? I think we might see a shot at the Triple Crown anyway on June 10th.
That would be something. I mean, I bet this horse in the Florida Derby.
Okay.
And I got a little worried when he made that swooshy move and took the lead and then got run down. I go, boy, does that mean he has distance limitations? So I got a little scared. And then I saw a quote from the trainer. He goes, we'll need a few more starts to know how good this horse really is. I go, oh boy, that's not a ringing endorsement. So when Forte scratched, I slid him in third on the picks for the TV show, and luckily I stumbled into the exacta. Did you do any good?
Not on Derby Day.
Yeah,
Just okay.
it's a tough day.
Hit or miss.
It's a tough day. It's a tough day. And so is this day going to be tough too.
All right, we're going to take a look at races 3 through 13. We won't look at the Arabian race, which is always my favorite race of the afternoon.
Since you said that, I don't know if you. I put out a sheet every week, and when I got to the 14th race, here's what I wrote: 14th race in parentheses. I have enough trouble touting you good people on thoroughbred. So if you like an Arabian, please tout me. That's as far as I'm going there.
There you go. All right, race number 2 at PIMLICO is racing as we speak, so we'll kick things off with race number 3. Did see a race on the turf earlier, a wire-to-wire winner. Horacio Caramanos had the ride, and for those of you who don't follow the Maryland circuit, Horacio Caramanos, one of the leading riders, and it has been for a very long time in the Maryland and Virginia circuit. And we're going to take a look here at race number 3. I used the 10. He's got swagger coming off a second-place effort last time out at Churchill Downs. Picks up Flavian Pratt, who I know that you like very much so. I also used number 6, Arrogant Rider, who's the closer of the field. I think you're going to get a little bit of value there, 20-1 morning line. And then the 3, the first-time gelding, Langley Avenue.
I went for the 5-horse. Too Far East is West, which is a clever name, all squished together. It looks like he's a closer, but he had a little trouble at the start there. He got compromised, and then he come running to get beat a length and a half. Michael Trombetta, this is like the home horse in this race. So I got the 5 on top. I got the 10 second. He's got swagger, another Kentucky invader on this card. And I had the 13 in the top 3. He had a bullet work at Turfway, but he's out. So I'm just going to go dime store, 5-10.
Okay, so the 13 is now out of there as well. The 12 Silk Prince is also out of race number 3. Race number 4 is the Sir Barton Stakes, sponsored by Brandon and Diana Perry. $100,000 on the line. Scratch number 1, Masterwork, who actually liked a little bit coming into this race, but obviously not so much here. And you have a top selection as they cross the wire with number 3, Be Better, in there.
Did it win?
He did.
Yeah. And we're in here talking. I didn't bet. Did you bet?
You're in good shape. We're going to take a short time out before we take a look at the Sir Barton Stakes, however, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
On in 3, 2.
All right, welcome back as we take a look at the Sir Barton Stakes. $100,000 on the line. Be Better, 9-5 in race number 2 for the Bob Railbird Roberts selection there. For the Sir Barton Stakes, number 6, Dennington. Needs a little bit of an aggressive ride, Flavian Pratt. This is another horse that Flavian picks up here as he comes into Maryland to take a ride. You have to go all the way back to August the 28th of 2022 at Ellis Park. They were going a mile, and this horse was on the lead. If anybody can give this horse an aggressive ride, I think Flavian Pratt can. So expect this horse to be close to the pace, going this mile in a 16th distance. For Arabian Lion, listen, first time Lasix, likes it out east, doesn't seem to mind the ship all that well. Arabian Lion going to be a big favorite in this field. And then number 3 at Tappett's Conquest, dropping down in class, going to try the, try the turf. But on the dirt,
not today.
Going to drop down a little bit in class, and Luis Saez picks up the ride here.
We have the same 3, but we have them in different order. I'm conceding this. I mean, when a horse is 2 to 5 on the morning line, that's a little strong. Doesn't mean I have to bet the race. I'll pass on the race. But I got the 4 horse on top, Arabian Lion. 2 to 5 off of that effort in the Lexington where he got beat a half a length. And he got beat by the horse that scratched out of the Preakness, First Mission. The key here might be he's getting late sex for the first time.
Yep.
That could give him a lift. So I'm going with the Lion on top, your 3 horse Tappett's Conquest second, and Dennington I put in third. So I'm going 4, 3, 6.
All right, we'll take a look at race number 5. Alex is actually going to announce the prize drawing winners for the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to take a short break while he does that and come right back with race 5. Being the professionals we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great.
Yep.
All right, we're in 3, 2.
Welcome back to the handicapping show. Again, Bob Hilbert, Roberts, and Michael Carter joining you as we go over race number 5 at Pimlico Racecourse. They're going 1 16th miles. This time they're on the turf course.
You got it.
So my top selection is going to be a 30-1 Bomber,
Whoa.
number 1, Dancing Till Dusk. 2 for 2 over the Pimlico turf course. Has 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third over at the distance. Dancing Till Dusk gets Charlie Marquez. Sheldon Russell finished 7th with this horse 3 starts ago at this distance. Draws inside here. Maybe a horse for the course, as you normally say.
Right.
Number 6, Tequila. Help me out here. Tequila, maybe?
Tequilera.
Something like that. Tyler Gaffleone picks up the ride.
Tequilera.
Obviously a very consistent horse for Michael Metz, who trained Kentucky Derby winner Barbaro back in 2006, which, by the way, is the year I graduated high school.
And that was my last Kentucky Derby as a reporter.
And then number 5, Downtown Katy, coming off a victory. Jaime Rodriguez for Michael Gorham, some local Maryland connections. I'll go 165 in race 5.
Well, you have the winner in there, but you got him second. The 6, Tequilera. If you look at this race, there is not a whole lot of speed in here.
No.
This horse, this filly, should be free and easy on the lead. Her problem is, and I put this on the pick sheet, she has a lot of, quote, sucker in her, which means if you look at her record, 9 starts, 1 win, 3 seconds, 3 thirds. She's got ability, but she doesn't like to finish the job or go buy horses, so I have to worry about that part. However, I got the right jock on this horse. Gaffleone, I think Castellano is the best grass rider in America for the last 10 years.
Yep.
This kid is heir apparent to the throne. So I got the 6 horse, Tequilera, on top. I threw the 9 in second. Life, Lover, and Laughter, broker maiden at Pimlico, and could pop at a price in here. So we'll have to throw that in with your 1. And I threw the 4-horse, Nicolar, 3rd. Saez gets on, and he's another guy that's tough to get around on the turf course. So I'm going 6-9-4.
Well, the Maryland rider Sheldon Russell picked up the mount on the 9, Life, Love, and Laughter.
Yeah.
So Sheldon Russell pick up the mount. Notice Jose Ortiz is not riding anything throughout the latter part of the program. So I'm not sure if he just didn't ship
Maybe
or
he's
what happened.
going to catch a plane back to New York to ride in a stake or something. I don't know. I'll have to look at the New York races and see.
In race 5, though, Sheldon Russell rides 9, scratch 12, and then the main track only 14, and also eligible 16. Race number 6 is the Chick Lang Stakes. They'll go 6 furlongs on the main track at Pimlico Racecourse, and my top pick in here, you have picked for 3rd, is the 5, Super Chow. Paco Lopez picks up the ride, coming off a 5 1/4 length victory in a lower level stake race out of Gulfstream Park. 1 for 1 over the Pimlico surface, and has every reason to step up here. Has a good amount of speed, which, you know, the one thing about the dirt course at Pimlico, you know, of course we talk about, you know, the mile and 3/16. You got to be close to the pace. You don't want to have to close from off of it. And
Right.
you saw it in the last race. The winner actually came from mid-pack and had to make a big move. So I think Super Chow is going to have to be close to the pace, you know,
Right.
sitting back, 2nd, 3rd, maybe. And then, of course, you got the one, have name let down. Louis Saez picks up the ride, was 2nd by a head in the Saudi Derby to Commissioner
Having a
King.
meltdown. Look at it
And,
again. It's having a meltdown.
And then the 2, Rye Vit, coming off a 3-race win streak. So
Right.
I'm going to go a little bit of a chalk sequence here.
Okay.
5, 1, and 2 in race 6.
Okay. Super Chow, I watched all winter at Gulfstream. Super fast horse.
Yep.
Always ridden by Chantel Sutherland. She broke her shoulder. That's why she's not riding this horse. But she loves this horse so much, she's going to Pimlico today to root for this horse. Paco Lopez picks up the mount. You'll get an aggressive ride there. I think there's too much speed in this race. So I think someone's going to benefit from the speed duel that's anticipated.
Yep.
And I'm going for the 7. Prince of Jericho.
Okay.
I think he could be along if he sits back and watches these guys, you know, run at each other. And the 2 horses you mentioned, having a meltdown and Super Chow are 2 of the guys that are going to really go at it on the front end. I know Paco won't back off.
No.
And I don't think Louis Saez is going to back off either, coming out of the 1 hole. So I'm going 7-1-5 in the 6th. By the way, do you know who Chick Lang was? Chick
Lang, I believe, was an announcer.
No.
No.
Chick Lang was the general manager of Pimlico during the glory days of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He had a butch haircut. He loved the Preakness like nobody's business. So when Spendabuck, the Derby winner, decided not to go to the Preakness, instead he went to run in the Garden City Stakes because they offered him like $1 million bonus. Chick Lang was so incensed. There's a stakes barn in the barn area at Pimlico, and stall 1 is reserved for the Derby winner. So who was going to be in that stall that year? The Derby winner was going to New Jersey. He was so mad that Chick Lang put a goat in that stall during Preakness week. So that's who Chick Lang is.
All right. Race number 7 is the Gallarette. It is a Grade 3 event. The Gallarette is always a fun race to watch. It's a great turf race. 7 horses will take center stage. There are no changes in the 7th race. And Darren Zaccali, who works now for Twin Spires, was asking, does anybody have a solid opinion in this race? It's very wide open. My opinion, though, I'm going to go with the 5 Vergara's, coming off a second place effort back in October. First time off the shelf for trader Graham Motion. And, you know, Graham Motion always seems to just happen to be around.
Outstanding trainer.
He loves the Maryland circuit. He loves to race on that, like, East Coast, you know.
Well, he does them stable at a racetrack. Did you know that?
Yes.
He's at Fairhill, which is midway. He can get to Delaware. He can get to Maryland. Yep. So he's an outstanding horseman.
Absolutely. And, you know, he's traded some really nice horses as well. This horse is 1 for 2 at the distance. For second, we'll go with the 1 White Beam, who shipped from overseas, was racing in England and France, went to Aqueduct, finished second, just beat a neck at the $100,000 stake race out there. Irad Ortiz Jr. picks up the mount here this afternoon. It's going to be a little bit of a lower price.
Right.
And then for third, we'll use the 4 Eminent Victor with Flavian Pratt, who got along well with this horse back at Saratoga and Belmont towards the mid part of last year.
I got your horse, Vergara, picked second. Like you said, it's Graham Motion, so there's no knock on that guy. That's for darn sure. And you got the Rosario on. I went for the one horse. The horse ran in a $100,000 stake race, I guess, at Aqueduct on April 16th. And this race, I'm surprised the Galleret is a grade 3, but the purse is only $100,000, which tells me that Chad Brown probably doesn't think a whole lot of white beam. Otherwise, he'd have kept in New York and shot for something for $250,000.
Yeah.
So to him, it's just workman-like horse. So, and Rod Ortiz picks up the mount. So I put the one horse on top. It did finish full of run in that race at Aqueduct. So I went White Beam on top, Vergara second, and the two horse is an interesting horse to me, coming from Italy.
Yeah.
Where it won 5 of 15 races with 5 seconds and made almost 350,000. Luis Saez is riding the horse. So, by the way, you see who's training it, Graham Motion. So Graham Motion's going to take 2 shots in here. So I'm going 1-5-2, but you're right. It's a very interesting race.
Yeah, it's a very fun race for a
Yes.
turf course race. The one thing about turf races, and you've been following this long enough to know, turf racing presents a lot of value.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of value on the turf course.
Unfortunately, being a turf rider in Cleveland, there hasn't been a turf course at Thistledown for decades, so we don't know a whole lot of. I got more turf racing in my yard when I'm cutting the grass.
All right, race number 8 is the Grade 3 Dinner Party Stakes for $200,000. No changes in the 8th race. Number 7, Emmanuel is my top pick. Javier Castellano picked up the ride 2 and 3 starts back. It was a winner at Gulfstream Park and at Tampa Bay Downs. They were exactly 30 days away from each other. And then in the Grade 1 Maker's Mile at Keeneland, really just wasn't good.
Right,
enough in
I don't
race.
get
Just
that
kinda
race.
flopped
I know.
and, just wasn't very good. Irad Ortiz Jr. picks up the mount here as Javier Castellano elects to ride Easter coming over from France, but we'll get to that one in just a moment. Emmanuel draws outside. Sort of a drop in class, from
Yes.
a Grade 1 to a Grade 3.
Oh, for
so
sure.
we'll give Emmanuel a shot here, a little bit of a price. One Atone is going to be bet. There's no doubt in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. Was the Pegasus World Cup turf winner 2 starts back. Another one that that kind of bounced at Fairgrounds back in March. He's taking a little bit of time off, gets Tyler Gaffleone in the irons. He last rode this horse at Kentucky Downs back on September the 10th to a second place effort. And then for third, we'll go with the 5, Rising Empire. So I'm going to go 7, 1, and 5 in race 8.
Yeah, that last start in the Maker's Maker's Mark Mile is very complex, very hard to understand.
Yeah.
The chart guy says that he didn't just break well. He wasn't, so if that's it, if it was just a bad start and they threw in the towel early, I can understand it. I put the horse third. I put a Tone second. Once again, it's Gaffleone, and he rode this horse in the Maker's Mark Mile earlier this year, but this kid is really good. But I put him second. I put the 4 horse, Hurricane Dream, on
Nice.
top. I went back and watched this race at Keeneland, and this was the easiest of winners. And by the way, it's your man, Graham Motion, doing the training on the 4. So I'm going 4-1-7. Another good race to watch.
Another real quick
Yeah.
before we bounce off of that, your top pick, Hurricane Dream. Another big kind of note. Second time Lasix really improved with the addition of Lasix last time out.
Yes,
so
you're right.
That could potentially be some good information.
Well,
there.
Graham Motion's going to win either the 7th race or the 8th race.
All right, race number 9 is the Skip It Stakes. It is a listed stakes event for $100,000. Scratch number 2, Begone, and that was actually my top pick here. So we're going to scratch into the 5, Princess Cocachin, coming off a winning effort with Javian Toledo. You know how to say that one over a good Laurel surface, going to race over a fast surface here. This is a horse that has a lot of speed. John Robin, those connections are local to the Maryland area. One thing I love about this day specifically is you don't have a ton of horses shipping in, from Santa Anita and Keeneland and whatnot. There's a lot of really local guys who are competitive in these.
Yes.
The Federico Tessio that was raced a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
You see some of those horses show up. So we'll go with the 5 here. We'll go to number 7, Edie, Meeny, Miny, Mo. How do you like that one?
Good.
With
way to do it.
Luis Saez there, coming off a 5th place effort in a Grade 3 event. A little bit of a step back in class.
Yeah.
And then I'll use the 9, Olivia Darling, who Tyler Gaffleone picks up here as Jose Ortiz is not riding.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with him. I have to check that out. I went in a different direction. I went for the 6 horse, Gunning.
Okay.
picks up this mount, and if he can, this horse can sit behind the speed. He could come running. I put the 3 second. I'm the boss of me. Had a good winner at Oaklawn, and Ortiz picks up this mount. And your horse, the 5, Princess Cocachin, I threw in third. John Robb has been around forever in Maryland, and if anybody knows the way around that place, it's him. And that horse, like you said, 2 for 3 at Pimlico. Very hard to ignore the 5 horse. So I'm going 6-3-5.
All right, race number 10 is the Jim McCabe Turf Sprint, another listed stakes event for $100,000. Scratch number 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 out of race number 10. Again, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. Top pick for me, 1-0 better. Horacio Caramanos picks up the ride here, 3-1 on the morning line, so not really much value. That start, 3 starts back at a listed stakes event at Aqueduct. Caramanos went up to Aqueduct. Now, he doesn't leave the Maryland circuit very often, and when he does, not that he doesn't do well, but he just does okay.
Right.
But he shipped up to Aqueduct back in November, won the race by a half a length with this horse. You got to think he's got some confidence in it. Manny Franco won an allowance optional claiming event out at Aqueduct back in April. Caramanos picks up the ride once again here on Nothing Better. I'm thinking that this horse is going to be the horse to beat. For third, we'll go with Artemis City Limits, number 3, take a big class drop off an 11th place effort out at Keeneland back in April. That was the first start off of the layoff, though.
Right.
Taking a step back in class here should help out. And the 12, Breakthrough, a son of Nyquist, and Javier Castellano will be trying to sweep a little bit later on in the program with Mage.
I ignored your horse, but I probably shouldn't have, because I look at his one-hole starts, and he's got the rail today. His one-hole starts are really good, so he's probably going to be a handful. I went for a horse. I went for a 12-1 shot in here, the 6. That's right. I don't know this trainer that well, Michael Moore. This horse hasn't run since October at Aqueduct, but Michael Moore, with 180-day layoffs, has won 3 of 7 races. He's batting .430.
Wow.
And how about I didn't even know turf sprints. The guy's batting 62%. He's 5 for 8 in turf sprints. So I'm going with this horse to bust out of there and stay out. He's been to Pimlico once, and he broke his maiden by 5 lengths at Pimlico. So I'm going to bet some money on this horse. So I put the 6 on top, the 3 coming from Keeneland after, and then probably headed for New York. Artemis City Limits. Yep. He's a tough old guy. My God, he's 6 for 24 with 7 seconds and 8 thirds. He's made over $500,000. Arad picks up the mount, of course. And then I threw the 13 in there. Beer Can Man. He's 5 for 7 at the distance, so he'll be, and he drew in, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be, you got to worry about him too. 6-3-13 in the 10th.
All right, race number 11 is the Maryland Sprint Stakes. It's a Grade 3 event for $100,000, and there is no changes to be spoken of in race number 11. My top pick is the 8 Straight No Chaser. Is going to be one of the speed horses, John Velasquez. You can never really pitch him out. Is coming in off of a big win in allowance optional claiming event back at Oaklawn Park. Did ship east from Santa Anita, where he normally races on the West Coast, and he was just kind of okay.
Yes.
He tired in the couple of starts prior to that allowance optional claiming event. So you got to think he's going to be up front. I also used the 5, Willie Boy, at a little bit of a price. I have a note here that says needs to be close, and I circled Paco Lopez. Paco Lopez is a very aggressive rider. If you follow the Gulfstream Park, a lot of the Florida tracks, he is very aggressive. So if anybody can get this horse into play, it's Paco Lopez. Check out that start. 3 starts back at a listed stakes event for $100,000. Finished second. Only beat a half a length with Chantel Sutherland in it. So I got to think Willie Boy is going to be in it. And the 10, Wonder Where Craig Is, Sheldon Russell showing up here again. So we'll go 8, 5, and 10 in race 11.
You know, your horse is trained by Dan Blacker.
Yes.
If you watch TVG, Christina Oliveris Blacker, that's his wife.
Oliveris,
that's right. Well, her dad was a jock in California, so that's that. And obviously, this horse went from Del Mar to Santa Anita to Oaklawn, and now heading for Baltimore. I put the 8 horse third. I put the 10, Wonder Where Craig Is, second. My top pick is the 7, Nakatomi. I went back and watched this race, and it was so tipped towards speed that day at Keeneland that this horse couldn't overcome the track bias. Ended up fourth, but only got beat 2 lengths. And Gaffalione, who's he's won on this horse twice already. He retains the mount, so I'm going 7, 10, 8.
All right, race number 12 is the James W. Murphy, a listed stakes event for $100,000. No changes. Number 6, Moonstrike, will be Irad Ortiz Jr. My top pick here, listen, you either have to single this horse or you have to bet against him. There's no other option in this race, if you ask me. But Najee Rock, going to be tough to beat, has not missed the board on the turf course while he's not raced at Pimlico. He was third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year. That was a very big effort. Has not won since the Breeders' Futurity in the Grade 3 event in Belmont and Aqueduct back last year. What do you make of Najee Rock?
I make that we're both picking this horse. And by the way, a goofy name, Nagirr. You know what that is? It's Corrigan spelled backwards. So I'm guessing that whoever Chevenel Thoroughbred Farm is, that might be, maybe it's Mr. or Mrs. Corrigan. So they named the horse backwards. So
potentially.
As long as he doesn't run backwards. So I'm going with Nakatomi on top. I mean, no, I'm in the wrong race. The 12th race. Nagarok on top, the 9. I threw the 1 horse second. You don't see too many Wesley Ward horses race past 2. This one has.
Yep.
So it must be a strong racehorse. So I threw the Fantastic again second. And the 7, Kingfish Stevens. He's 8-1 in the morning line, but I don't think we're going to get that. I think, and if he's taking money and is like 7-2 or 3-1, look out. So give me 9, 1, 7 in the 12th.
I also used the 8 Wonderful Justice, facing easier than he faced at the Transylvania Stakes out at Keeneland last time out. Picks up Luis Saez for trainer Brad Cox. I am 9-8-1, but one thing about the 1 horse, I mentioned Wesley Ward, but likes the synthetic. The only question I have about the 1 is, will the form transfer to the turf?
Yeah.
That's going to be the only question I have. First time Lasix on Fantastic again, who's coming out of the JR State.
All right, let's get to the main course here.
All right, race number 13 is the 148th running of the Preakness Stakes. A field of 7 with the scratch of number 8, First Mission, who, by the way, was probably the biggest threat to Mage. And, of course, Mage winning the Kentucky Derby in really impressive fashion. He raced extremely well, got the trip, and, you know, here's the thing about the Kentucky Derby. You've got to have everything go right. And I'll tell you what, Javier Castellano absolutely had everything go his way in the Kentucky Derby. And the one thing about Mage is, if you liked Mage in the Florida Derby, you had to like him in the Kentucky. You absolutely had to. There was no, to me anyway, you had to like, because he went by, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. He went by Forte, and then Forte, of course, came back on him. The only question, like you said, was, would he get the distance? So Mage is both of our top selections. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I looked for hours trying to find a horse to beat this horse, and I thought maybe it could have been the 1 National Treasure. I went back and looked at his last race, and I don't see any excuses for him not running better. They're adding blinkers today. He has the rail. That's good and bad at the same time. It's Bob Baffert returning to the scene after being barred from running in the Kentucky Derby the last couple of years. By the way, if you look at the daily racing form, they had 14 guys handicap the race. 8 of them had First Mission on top, because they did this before the scratch. Only 6 had Mage on top. By the way, Mage, according to the Blood Horse magazine this morning, hit his head in his stall 2 days ago. And it's minor, but he has a couple of stitches above one of his eyes. So he's going to the starting gate like a prize fighter. Raging Bull, Mage. So he better not get too far behind. No. I mean, I know there's only, 7 in this race? He only has 6 foes, but that doesn't mean he doesn't run his usual race.
Where he's back off the pace.
Yeah, I better not get too far behind. So the horse I put second, and I've been there when the local horse upsets the Preakness. I covered it many years. The 4 horse, Coffee with Chris. He's going to be on the lead. Now the question is, can he get away with slow fractions? If he does,
who knows, right?
It's going to be tough running him down. He doesn't look like he can go that far, but it's Pimlico. It's 1 mile and 3/16. He's the home horse. I've seen the Puted Testimony and BBB. They sprung the big upsets down there in Baltimore.
Scrappy T almost did it.
That's right. And I threw Baffert in third. I put National Treasure in third. So I went 3-4-1. Who else do you like?
I like a Maryland horse, the winner of the Federico Tessio Stakes,
Yeah.
number 6, Perform.
Yeah.
Fergal Lynch shows up here
Right.
for trader Shug McGahee, who, listen, Shug, we all know this. Shug knows his way around a racehorse, right? I mean,
Right.
Shug would not have put this horse in the race if he didn't think he had a shot. Was racing in some maiden special weights down at Tampa, stepped up to the Federico Tessio
Right.
in preparation for this race at Laurel. And not only did he win, he was eighth at the top, of the stretch, and just flew home. And this is another horse that, obviously is going to be rolling with Mage,
Right.
Late. And then I also used the 7 Blazing Sevens. Took some time off after the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. This is another closer in the field. I'm sort of banking on there being some sort of a pace scenario up front, but you're right. If Coffee with Chris gets loose on the lead, things could really be shaken up.
Right. So what you did was you went Mage by Good Magic first. You got Perform second?
I do.
He's by Good Magic second. You have Blazing Sevens third?
do. So I got
By
Good
they're all
Magic
sired by
trifecta.
Good. This could be quite that stud fee was 50,000. Don't let these horses finish 1, 2, 3. You won't be able to get near that horse for 50,000.
All right, so those are the races that we are going to cover for you here this afternoon. Lots of great things going on. You can enter to win contests. We've got the Food Truck Festival going on from 1 to 7 o'clock. Lots of great food trucks. Special Preakness drink, the Black Eyed Susan, downstairs for $6. Lots of beverage stations, bands. You've got Buckshot from 1 to 3 and In the Sticks from 4 to 6 p.m. And then, of course, live racing begins at 6 o'clock after you finish with this. We've got a 15-race program on tap. Bob and I will be back in 3 weeks for the Belmont Stakes. Joining us, though, and I haven't told you this. Joining us for the
Javier Castellano.
No, the Belmont Battle discussion. Of course, we'll talk about the Belmont Stakes, but the Battle of Lake Erie that night. Our new track announcer, Kenny Livingood, will be a part of our show next time out. Kenny is coming to us from Saratoga, and he will begin calling the races here at MGM Northfield Park on Saturday, June the 3rd. If you want to check him out, Saratoga is racing today, and he is calling at Saratoga this week as Mike Sardella is out. So if you want to check Kenny Livingood out, he's a very good announcer. He's a very accomplished announcer, young kid, 24 years old.
Whoa.
So I'm excited to welcome him on board.
So is he from Saratoga originally?
He's from the Saratoga Albany area.
Okay,
yes, sir.
so can we have his room when we go up there for the Saratoga daytime thoroughbreds and nighttime harness? Can we stay in his old room?
There you
He'll
go.
be here.
There you go. So, all right. Good luck in your wagering strategies this afternoon, and enjoy yourselves as the weather is starting to straighten up outside.